Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. Today we're on for a few more power tool repairs, and we're starting off with this here, a wee 18 volt Bosch drill. This is the GSB 18V/55. Now this one has something to do with the gearbox, I believe. Yeah. Now is this going to be like the last one where it was a bit of grit or something and maybe somebody opened it and just didn't assemble it again correctly? Or is this going to have their normal gearbox failure? Right. She's slipping, not doing anything and not getting on the gear. Normally it's a problem with the gearbox, but we had one on last week where I don't actually know what it was, unless someone just got jammed inside or somebody opened the gearbox and didn't assemble it again correctly. But I was doing this here. So we'll see which one this is. We'll use a fresh bit. And the gearbox here, there's a little bit of difference between some of the other drills, and that you don't really have a cover on the back. The cover is actually half the gearbox, and the back gear is actually pressed into the back part of the gearbox. But if it comes loose, it basically just shortens the gearbox and nothing then works correctly. So it won't select gears or it won't stay in gear, and the selector does this here. Or someone was messing around with it, or a bit of grit can get on, or just the gearbox lever can get fouled up. That only happens when you're lucky. It's the exact same model as the last time, but it's not the same fault. I think the last time somebody just had this out, or this somehow got knocked and the wee latch here got moved over or something. But that's not what's going on here. I can already see what the problem is. I'll clean it here so we can look at it. See here, normally there's a wee sleeve you twist to pull off this back cover. But this Bosch, this here's the actual sleeve. So a whole half of the gearbox. So this back gear, instead of just drop it on, has to be fitted this way first, and it clips on over here, this little plastic piece. There's a wee edge it pushes up through and catches on here, and as you can see, it's not all the way up. What's happened is the two wee teeth that slide onto here have somehow got dropped down and have now spun around, so this gear is pressed further under the gearbox. Not sure if it's just from wear, from this here plastic wearing out, or maybe it's just got a drop and landed like this and the gears come loose, and then whenever you're on the drill it spins around. Either way, that's a fairly common problem now, and what I've seen many a time. There's not really much you can do, because this is just the design of the gearbox. It's not like you can tighten anything up. We can reattach it sometimes, so we'll see if we can do it now. We'll leave this side the way it is. We don't need to take any more out of here. We'll just stand it up straight. So we'll see if this goes back in again. That's your selector. This is the gear we want to reassemble. This is your wee planetary. So these two boys here actually fit up onto here. And there's also a big steel washer as well that also moves. Really, Bosch should have a wee groove cut on around here for the top of this here gear, so whenever it slides in, you can put a big C-clip or a wee thin skinny one inside to hold this on so it can't move its way back. I'm going to line that up to there. I suppose it'd be handier just to take it out, put it on that way, and then put it on. Question is, will it clip back in again? It does. So it mustn't be worn out, it must have just got a drop. There's not really much holding this on, just this little piece of plastic. If it gets banged hard enough dropping down, if it lands on the chuck, these here just must pop out. And once the drill spins, this moves or the washer at the back moves, and that's the whole thing completely out of whack. That sits there. This goes in here. The two halves go back together again. This can be a little bit awkward sometimes. Just take note of which is the top and which is the bottom. So the markings is the top of the gearbox, and the lever for selecting your gear goes up here. So this is the top. And you'll just have to give this a little wiggle and a jiggle to line up them gears. That's it. Get that pressed in again. It's just a little wedge basically holding these two halves together. It's not the best of setups, but then it's not a big expensive drill. But you think they could have designed it a wee bit better than that, being Bosch, or at least have fixed the problem by now. Make sure that drops onto the selector, which it's not. There we go. And the same on this side. Now it's working. Shouldn't need any more than that. Shouldn't need to do anything else, and this should just drop back in. Fairly handy. There we go. And the change lever then should just drop down from the top. That's it. Make sure your little LED is fitted down here. Your battery thinner is still in place. And that should do the trick. Get this Bosch drill up and running again. Not a bad wee drill, as long as you don't get them wet and you don't drop them. Now, does that cure the problem? Look at that. Clicking between the gears and actually driving them now. That's her. Don't drop them, and they shouldn't break. Not the best of gearboxes, to be quite honest. See that there quite often. If it happens, you can just disassemble and reattach, but if the plastic housing wears out, you're basically scuppered. You can't really replace that part, you have to replace the whole gearbox. But that's that one at least, up and running. Now, here's one we don't see too often. A Katsu. Mightn't have heard of this brand too many times. It's basically just a cheap and cheerful brand, but one I've actually bought myself, and to be quite honest, I couldn't really fault them that much. Not that they're very high quality, they are only cheap and cheerful, but they are cheap. Normally get them at places like Amazon and that. I think these here drum sanders or burnishers only cost like €80. I mean, if you're buying a worth one, you're onto €300 or €400. They're not bad for what you're getting, but you don't get them on too often. Mainly because they're that cheap and cheerful. They're not really worth fixing if anything goes wrong, and mainly because you can't actually get any spare parts for it. So we're going to see if we can do it with this one. This here is a Katsu sander or burnisher. This is the SKU, what's that? Model 1801. I've actually seen these on Amazon and they're good money for what they are. But you can't be expecting the world out of them. See, she's doing here. Customer says I thought it was brushes. Doing nothing. Right, it's not brushes. There's a little bit of burning going on there. But like I say, it's only cheap and cheerful. You're not going to expect this to run perfectly. But there's nothing burnt on the armature. I can't see any bad segments. I don't think it's burnt out. Even if it was burnt out, you would still have it running to a degree. If it was the armature, it'd be running badly just. Cheap and cheerful, but not a bad wee machine. Lock solid brass brush holder on it. Not like the Makita ones, not just a wee thin piece. I've actually only just ordered, or actually just got, a few new Katsu tools myself actually. Because I have bought a few things from them before in the past. And I've actually just bought 2 more. And I'm actually going to do a little video on them at the weekend. Only just arrived there yesterday. When I get a dry day, I get out and give them a wee test and do a wee video and tear down on them. For the money, you really can't complain. Thought maybe it might have been brush holders there sticking. I don't think it is. I think it might be the speed controller. Normally, that is the normal fault. So if you stay tuned to the channel, I'll probably see a wee Katsu video coming up soon. Not a collaboration one as well, it is ones I've just bought myself. Right, there's no brushes. We're getting onto the handle. Hopefully it's not a dead field as well. Maybe I should have kept them brushes out. As a field, there's not much we can do. Check the lead. I suppose the other thing to check is just the fuse. We never check that. To be honest, I never check fuses because most people would know to check them themselves. But this is a younger fellow, so maybe. Nah. To give him credit, he knows rightly it's not going to be a fuse. Or he knows rightly to change it. To test it. Most people know to test the fuse themselves the first thing. I rarely ever test them. Right, so the lead's good. The live is actually wired direct. There's neutral that's switching. Right. So in other words, switch is good, lead's good, brushes are good. More than likely, that's this here, the speed controller. These are normally the weak spot. Something that's probably just popped. Now you're not going to buy one of these here. Maybe you could get them online if you want looking. It's not something I'm going to have. It's very basic as well, and everything's actually exposed on the top. But you can just cut them out, remove them completely, and just test the wires here for the field too, just to make sure. I did say to him when I dropped it on, this is probably going to be the problem, and I asked him how often does he use the speed control, and he says never. So if it is the speed control, we'll just cut it out and wire direct. Might not be though. That's okay. I'm just trying to get to the brush holder. Yeah, that's okay. Field is working. I'm just getting to the two sides of the brush holder. You can get to them from this side as well. This was actually built like a Makita as well. Look, they have the wee ring spring actually wrapped around the brass brush holder. This was connecting the field onto the brush holder, just like the Makitas. But I'm just testing these two white wires going on here. These are going onto one side of the field, wrapping around one side onto the brush holder, across the armature, onto the brush holder, around the other side of the field, and then back out again. So if you test the wire and either one of the brush holders, you should get continuity, and then the other one should be the continuity on the other side. If you don't get continuity on one, it means your field's either burnt out, dead, or there's a broken connection somewhere inside. So that one's okay. Switch is okay, lead's okay, fuse is good. So in other words, this here is the problem. Now you can be as high tech about this as you like, but you don't need to be all that high tech. You're just connecting two wires. Like I say, they're a cheap and cheerful machine. They're fairly basic. There's not much to the speed controller. Most other brands are a lot more elaborate. These here are just the neutral, going straight through this here speed control. So that's just coming on. Little MOSFETs regulating the speed. As you can see, they don't last long, because that there's the only cooling heat dissipation for the MOSFET, a wee aluminium plate. So if you're on these for any length of time, basically you're going to burn out the speed control. That's just going to overheat and cook. There's not even any heat paste on it either. But to fix it, you just need to joint these two, and that's it. And there's only a wee crump connector on this, so that's all I'm putting back on again. It's just a wee quick and easy fix to keep this man running. That's all. Let's just sort this man out and keep him sanding or burnishing. No, we don't want to leave a big gaping hole there actually. So we will just drop that back in again. Now this was just a speed control too. As you can see, there's no soft start on this. So these things will just start with a bang basically. No gentle startup time. When you pull the trigger, they just run. I know it's not a very expensive brand, but I'm not bothered about the quality of them when you get them cheap enough, because I know I paid enough money for the likes of my Sealy polisher several years ago. The exact same thing happened. It's about the exact same quality, to be quite honest with you. Within a few weeks, the speed controller just failed completely. I had to just cut it out and wire it on direct. So basically it's just a sander now instead of a polisher. Now, see if that does the trick now. Just always hold it up before you plug it on, just in case. Now, what does she run like? For an €80 burnisher sander, that ain't too bad. She no longer has high or low speed or variable speed, but she still runs and she'll do the job, and it ain't too bad a machine for €80. That is the Katsu burnisher or sander, as some people call it, normally for actually sanding sheets of metal. So you're trying to finish off a weld or something, or you're joining two plates, you just run this here down along it to actually clean it or sand it down. Handy job, especially for that kind of money. Right, this next one, I can nearly tell you already, is an absolute waste of time. This is Dewalt's special edition 100-year anniversary special release drill, the DCD100 Type 1. This thing is an absolute disaster and nearly sums up Dewalt perfectly now these days. This is what they released as their special edition to mark their 100-year anniversary, and it was absolutely terrible. These things are basically faulty straight out of the box. We took in 6 of them, the hardware shop I work for. Took in 6 of them. They are a great price, don't get me wrong. When you buy them as a kit, you're nearly better off buying the kit with batteries than you are just buying the batteries, because you get batteries, charger and the drill. It was great money to buy, but the drill itself is absolutely terrible. And I think that's what this man bought it for, was simply for the batteries, and has barely ever used it. Has now realised it is faulty. Problem with them is the switch. They're absolutely terrible. Like we say, we took in 6 of them just for the price and sold all 6, and all 6 came back within a few weeks, and all of them had to be sent away to Dewalt to be repaired. And I think most of the customers didn't even want to come back for them, they were that bad. Wait till you see. We'll see what it's doing. Yep, same thing. So you stick her on forward, she goes forward, no big deal there. Stick her under reverse, she goes in reverse. See if it'll even do it for me now. Goes in reverse. And you see it? All of a sudden she goes forward again, and then back into reverse again. This is what these things do. They intermittently just switch direction all on their own. Normally when you're under load as well. So you'll be driving something on, take your trigger off, take your finger off the trigger and go again. Next thing, she unscrews what you're putting on, or keeps driving on further. So bad a drill, they're unreliable. You cannot trust them at all. So that's it, going forward again, and it goes into reverse. And then going forward again. That's me not changing the trigger. How could you rely on that there? These things were an absolute disaster. The worst Dewalt drill they've ever produced, basically, and that's how they marked their 100-year anniversary. This one, the exact same problem. Good heavy brushless motor, but just an absolutely terrible switch. Thing is absolutely worthless and not worth replacing, because you have to replace the whole motor unit. This one sadly is actually out of warranty, so they can't even send it back for replacement, and it's not worth fixing basically. If you see these things on a good deal, no matter how cheap they are, walk away. They're absolute disaster. They do not function. If they do work a little bit for you within the first few weeks, they'll start doing this here after 1 or 2 weeks basically. They all go the exact same way. And of course Dewalt, in all their wisdom, didn't decide to actually upgrade the switch or fix the problem. They started putting the same switch and more drills, so even more drills now have the exact same problem. That's brains for you. These things here, worst drill ever produced. I mean, how can they be getting away with that there? An obvious manufacturing fault that's still going on. These are still on sale some places, and they're just bound to fail eventually. They'll never work right. But this one is simply not worth fixing. I already know it's not worth fixing before I even took it on to look at it, because it's just the same thing every time. The other thing is it just getting stuck in one direction, and the other thing is the gearbox jamming up on it, and the chuck also can jam up because that's not that good a chuck. It's just a very, very basic low-end cordless drill that's just designed to fail fairly quickly. The only thing you're paying for in this here kit is the battery and chargers. These here are absolutely worthless. If you see them, walk away, do not buy. Now, for a big gulping of a machine, an old Makita hammer. These here are a big lump of a hammer. This is the Hr5001c from 2006, nearly 20 years old this one. These were a big, massive, heavy duty, fantastic hammer. I actually have one myself. Wee eBay job, never even used it. Still brand new in the box. This one is in for repair. Not a kick out of her. Right, no kick, so we should be able to be repaired at least. No noise is a good noise whenever it comes to corded machines, especially big old hammers like these. Different story if they were spluttering and sparking and farting everywhere. Right, so it's not the brushes. Right, we can get her running, but I don't know how good she's going to be. Maybe got a damage at the end of there. She's running fine this time, this side, but she's sparking this side. We can get it running, but I don't know how good she's going to be. Check this one. Maybe she's just burnt through one of the brushes. I would say this armature might be sparking. So it could be on its way out. Yeah, see that one's the same now. Or it could just be age. Sometimes they're sparking, but not sparking that heavily. Doesn't look bad. Right. Next thing is the lead and the switch and the controller. There we go. Doesn't look bad, but then again, they never do. Yeah, just open the switch, easier to test it this way. This is just a wee plastic cover, just to help pack it out on the housing. I would say it is the switch anyway. It's broken there, look. Test the lead as well, just to be the simplest thing to test first. The lead's good. Neutral's good. Live's doing squat. So what is the switch? (922-3). See if we have one of these in stock. Answer. One Makita switch and then a 922-3 at 651922-3. That's the right one for this machine. Makita do loads of these switches, or not loads, but there's a few variations just with different pins and different contacts. The likes of the miter saws will have 5 pins on it, as in there'll be a brake built into it as well. All the things might only have 2, some might just have the 3 of them. This one's just connecting the neutral and the neutral for the switch together here, and it's just the live that's switching down this side. So even if you can't get one of these here, if you have another Makita switch, or if you have one of these types of switches with just 2 connectors down here, you can still use that there, and you just wire the neutral in directly and just do without this here, because that's all this is anyway. This is just connecting the neutral together. But the right one is this one. Normally I would put crumps in all these, but or referrals, but this is just a straight swap. There's no real need. Ferrules just make it easier and quicker. This is fairly quick and easy as it is. Stick this back on as well. What way was that now? This way. And that sorts the reason why she's not running. The question is now, what's she going to run like? Plus, we need to see the actual hammer in this thing's like. Just see what she runs like here first before we put the rest on. Now, will she start? Fart or pop? Well, she does start, but there's something else going on inside there. thought it might have been that bearing, but it's not. I think it's just worn gears. Just a little bit of play on the actual crank as I move them back and forth, so the gears in here may be worn. That, or she's just a wee bit dry. Just in case. Top up the grease a wee bit. Yes, no, not there anyway. That actually pushes down on top of the con rod, stops it from lifting. So I was jumping around all over the place, or any damage. Normally the bottom of that will get damaged too. But that seems fine. This on too. That's it. She's not doing it anymore. Never know what she was making. She stopped now since we put the grease on. So we'll chance her at that. Normally when they come on, when they're not running, they're on because they stop running. And that's the actual problem. It's unusual for them to come on with two different problems. But it could have just been running rough inside because you're going dry. So if the hammers get a bit slack, the grease will help tighten it up a wee bit. But you don't want to go spending too much on it, because if it's only on because it's not running, and you go and change this cheap switch and put a €150 service into it, customer might come back and just say to you, they never asked for that. So you just got to play it on the safe side. That's it. One Makita Hr5001. Just needing a new switch. Now this one says lock on it, so I'm hoping it's the lock button and not the switch. Looks like it is the switch. Lovely. It must be an old repair. Lock button's working now. It could be the switch because it's actually got holes in it too. I no longer dismantle these for this problem because it is just too labour intensive. Quickly open it and see if it can be salvaged. There's just a wee rubber cover covering the switch, keeping the dust out, but it doesn't keep all that much out. That's the problem. Plenty of dust in there. open it, get some contact cleaner and clean it out. There's nothing else you can do. The switch from Dewalt isn't available to buy. You have to buy the whole motor to change the switch in this thing, which ain't worth doing. Contact cleaner, give it a good spray, clean it out. If it works, you're laughing. If it doesn't, you're crying. Give it a wee spray of the compressor as well. And give her another test. Not so bad. So that one can be saved. Put a contact cleaner and a wash, and that keeps it running. Eventually though, those switches always fail, and when they do, there's not much you can do about it. Now the question is, do you cover it up again, or do you leave it loose, leave it uncovered? To be honest, there's plenty of cheap and cheerful ones on the market that just have a completely open switch and they work fine. At least when they're uncovered, you can easily just clean it out again. So I'm just going to leave it like that there. She's running, and we'll keep this man working for a while longer. Now, we were lucky with one. Will we get lucky with number two? I don't think so somehow. I think this was in before. Yeah, I think that one's a motor failure. Doing nothing. Try and see. I would say this one's gone. Obviously it must be, because this has already been opened. Somebody's tried already. Could even have been me that tried. Doesn't take much to stop it. I'm going to use something a bit more aggressive too. This is carb cleaner. Oh, right in the eyes. Lovely. Oh, it's got a sting to it. And just use contact end to get rid of the extra carb. Carburetor just breaks down more grease, so if there's any oil or anything in it, causing the dust to stick to it, it's more than likely to get it out. There's another number on this lot. So this has been done before. Give it a wee blast the compressor as well. Don't have as much faith in this one somehow. Yeah. Same thing. That's a motor problem, not a switch problem. So that one ain't worth fixing. And just in case you don't believe me with that last Dewalt drill, the 100, about Dewalt putting the same switch and more drills, another customer has just dropped on this one just a few minutes ago, saying the exact same thing. It keeps changing direction on its own. This one is a totally different model. This particular model actually used to be quite good, apart from just a plastic gearbox, but they were cheap and they were reliable. Apparently not anymore. DCD796. This one is the Type 11. It's running. It's not changing there. but it is there. That's even worse actually than the last one. No, can't make up its mind at all. Every time you pull the trigger, it's going a different direction. Dewalt is going downhill fast. Why in the hell would they decide to put that switch into more drills? And clearly, it's defective. That there is what you call planned obsolescence. They're planning on these things not lasting. Under warranty, they have to replace this here whole switch unit, which is the whole motor. Outside of warranty, it ain't worth fixing. Can't buy the switch on its own as part of the whole controller unit, and it's not even to say the switch is faulty. It's something to do with the brains of the machine not picking up what direction it's meant to go. It's a bigger problem than just the switch. It's the whole motor unit. Dewalt, these smaller drills, they're just not worth fixing. They're not even worth buying now at this stage. That is unbelievable. I mean, have you ever seen anything like that there? Yeah, I'll say no more or I'm going to say something bad. Right, not worth fixing. Right, this time it was all from the same crowd. This time is a Dewalt SDS drill. Right, that might be able to be fixed. Right, it's not a motor problem. Something broken on the gearbox. Probably a broken crank. Or else a conrod. I'll strip and see if I can fix this one. Oh, right way around. Get the lever off. Get the chuck sleeve off. Clip down on here. Rise that up. And then open it. Yeah, it wasn't open before anyway. Labels are still attached. Oh, talking about the labels. As well cut them. Piston's starting to go bad too. I don't know if that can be saved or not. No, probably not, since it's jammed in there. It's still intact actually. Sometimes they break, but there is something gone there. That little clip is meant to be holding this assembly onto here, onto the spring. There's something going on there that's popped off. Probably popped off because that jammed. That for now. We'll have to see if we can actually fix this first, because that is actually stuck. Let's see if we can get that out. Alright, we might get away with it. If it's only a clip and a piston, we'll get away with it anyway. Oh, that was bone dry. There was no grease in that whatsoever. How does it completely migrate out? Now, not to say it didn't have grease in it, obviously it did, but it's just got that hot. It's literally, all the grease has come away from the piston. It's a common problem with these here Dewalts, there's just not enough grease in the gearbox. Doesn't get enough to actually work its way around and get back onto the piston. It gets thrown off, and it all just pulls down here, and nothing stays up this side. But then when there's no grease, they start overheating and just cooking this. I mean, it's a good thick heavy piston on it. It's only aluminium. All of them are. They have to be aluminium to run on the steel. But eventually when they get hot, they lose all grease completely and they end up doing this. And the extra work trying to push this back and forth through the tool holder with it so stiff has been putting extra strain on this thing. So that's been trying to push away from these gears, pushing this down until it eventually pushed off or bent this little C-clip. Either that or it was never fitted correctly. It actually looks okay. I was expecting that to be bent, but it's not. A chance just refitting that. See if I have a piston. Hopefully this can be salvaged, because that'll be another 30 or 40 euro if I have to replace the actual hammer, or the ram as it's called. But I'll also just have to give all this here a good clean out, because this is all aluminium powder now, and it'll contaminate the rest of it if I put fresh grease on top. And one thing to check is just the keyways down in the centre. They're okay too. Sometimes they will wear out as well, just with general use. After they're running for years and years, they can wear the keyways away, and if they're gone, you'll have to replace the tool holder. But this is alright. Clean piston, an O-ring and some grease should get us going. Now the word we're looking for here is yuck. This thing is filthy and it needs a clean. Might actually even get it done today. The oil is badly contaminated here, the kerosene. It's just full of grease now, there's barely any kerosene left. And it's well hard to keep this thing clean, so it's sort of building up here a little bit too much. But look at the amount of flow coming out of this. Wait for it. It's to build up, maybe it's up too high. There it comes. Yeah. She's not pumping much. So we have to get this thing cleaned out. Because I'm just more spreading grease around than actually cleaning anything at this stage. When it slows down like this, you know it's just too thick. So I might do this in a separate video. If I get time today, I might actually get it done. I'll throw it into this video too. I need to get the parts washer cleaned out. Okay, one piston, and one O-ring. That's the O-ring number there. Only €2.20. Just need the one. And this is the piston number. That one there's €24 plus the VAT. A bit more expensive. It's never worth chancing. The O-ring, always just change it just in case. The ram can be a wee bit battered up, but that's steel inside aluminium. So if anything's going to get damaged, it's going to be the aluminium, not this. Right, get this stuff back together here first. So that's down here. A clip just holds it on. Seems alright. Go with that. So that is that one. And then the other one then. These are all the same parts basically. They're interchangeable. The other one then sits on there. So we'll get these ready. And then we'll stick them on. So we need that for the conrod or the piston. And this on here. And that was sitting on there. There's a pin there as well. I'll put that on after. We'll just line these up first and drop them in. It's just easier to do it like this. If that doesn't want to go on, take your change lever. Line it up, move it up to the, what would that be, hammer drill position, so it's engaging both of them. That puts this in the halfway position. Whenever you're changing, this here lever, this wee bar here, it's just tilting back and forth, lifting either one of these gears to disengage them. So if you disengage this, you lose the rotary, so it's only hammer. If you do it the other way, you put on the rotary, you disengage the hammer, give you drill only, but then in the middle both of them are engaged, so you're getting hammer and drill together. Plenty of grease on the piston anyway, that's the most important thing. And that ram, nothing wrong with it. Just get some in there too. So it's lubed up before we start. And then on here, you have your wee spring and a washer. And you can drop on the piston. There on. Take your tool holder assembly, Slide that on, push it all the way in. You're overcoming the grease in this as well, so it'll be a little bit tight. Push it back and drop it on. And that's it, just about rebuilt. Looks complicated, but it's actually not too bad. The main thing goes wrong with these is just always the grease. Not enough grease causes things to dry out. That, and either the wee pin here, this wee ball pin, the con rod, that there can sometimes snap, or the crank itself, this here bar, that'll snap in half. They can fail, but they are still worth fixing. And then a good gob of grease inside of here. Don't fill it, just put enough in so that it keeps it lubricated. You can't just fill it to the brim and expect it to run better. Too much grease will be just as bad as too little. And then start putting all your screws back in again. These things take a lot of screws. There's your housing back over. And just get initially fitted, then we can put the springs back in. There we go. Getting a little bit difficult there. Make sure these steel rollers are fitted as well. And line this up. Push on this side and just prise up the case over here. It'll drop on. And just make sure these boys are all fitted right then. Your battery tin and everything. Doesn't seem right. If you're not sure, go again. Yeah, there's the problem. Cables. Yeah, that should be it. Second time lucky. Much better. That should be it. Clean that. And we should be just about good to go. Just poke one end of this down and then just walk it around the other side. And your cap. That's it. That should be that Dewalt hitting again. That's her. A wee quick test. Make sure she's hitting right. And that'll keep him hammering. That's her. Up and running again. All for the price of a piston, an O-ring and some grease. That there, folks, is a common one for the Dewalts. If you have these Dewalt SDS drills and the hammer starts becoming weak, or if you notice any problem with the hammer section, open it up, check the grease. You might have to clean it up, or else just top up the grease. You do not want these pistons going bad. If you're just topping it up, an extra 10 or 20 mil of grease is all you really need. Anything is better than nothing when it comes to these here things. So any sort of gear grease will do the job. Anyway, that's her. Now, this one's in for an Instafix. Well, it's not going to be an Instafix. I know it's not an Instafix. This is a warranty one. This is a fairly fresh Bosch Hammer GSH5CE. And it's just got a set of brushes either last week or the week before. And it's already back in again, down in power. So I guess this is burnt out. As you can see, it's getting worked. What is she? 2024. It is a warranty. It's not all that old, but it's getting a lot of work. And some of the hardest work you can actually get a hammer to do. This boy's doing wall chising. So he's using a wall chiser like the big Makita laser chiser one we show. And he's cutting tracks in concrete and then using these here to actually hammer out the track then. If you do any work on shuttering or work on concrete, having to take down walls or do any sort of chising, you know how hard it is on machines. Imagine doing that where you have to take a chis out for a pipe or a bit of wiring or something. Imagine doing that there for your full-time job all the time. That's what this man's at, and there's quite a few boys that do it around here. Just wall chising only. They go around different building sites, halt out to different houses, to literally cut all the tracks and cut all the chises out of the walls. Just on a single day, basically. They could be doing 1 or 2 houses at a time. These boys, they don't slow down. They run all the time. If they could run 24/7, they'd work 24/7 because they're making a killing at it. But they're wild hard machines. Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad. I was expecting a big blue flash out of this. See what the brushes are like here. Like I say, these are just brand new. And it was only a few months old. Look, it was only a few months old when I got the last ones changed. I just ran through them fairly quick, so you can imagine how many hours this is run for at a time. One's a little bit out, but it doesn't really matter. That cannot be the same set I put on. Look at the state. How do they even go like that? That must be just the heat and the vibrations. That's not the same set I put on. That's no way. Look at can you even see that? Look at that. So that's running over to one side. Right. Let's see, this armature's actually gone too. Big lump of grease still sitting here from the last one. Right, watch this whenever I put on a new set of brushes now. I'll just show you again just to prove a point. Right, the state of that thing, right? She's flat at the bottom, she's not sitting flat, it's sitting like this. Because instead of going straight in, it's sitting at about an angle now. Or sort of be that there, could have an angle. So that is actually sitting in the holder like this and making contact with the armature over here instead of here. That is literally at the opposite side of the brush holder. See this side here, or the brush holder, that's where that is. So that, instead of sitting here, is actually sitting down here. So the armature is making contact not at 180 degrees, it's more like 170 or so. They're completely off. They're somehow worn all the way past the brass holder here. That's what the shape is, the shape of this holder. Worn all the way past and moved all the way down. It's amazing they can do this. Take note of the way that looks. So whenever I put that back in, I can get it in without breaking it now. You can see it there now. That's where she's sitting. Imagine if that keeps running, that's just going to break away now. There's going to be nothing going on to the armature, just going to be a wee thin point. All the power is going to go through that and very quickly burn it out. But you can see where that's sitting. And this one's starting to do the same thing. But look how much she's sparking. Right? You see that? And that's tampered with as well. Let's say something to be about soldering. No, he soldered this lead onto here. Why did he do that? It's not going to affect us now. We'll just leave it the way it is. So take note of that spark. Where do you see it happens when you put a new set of brushes on? Right. So the size isn't actually all that bad, look. But you can see the way they've worn. You can imagine this thing running for about 4 or 5 hours straight. How hot this would get. And how soft and malleable them brushes then becomes, and then all the hammering and banging and vibration from it starts to wear away that graphite. So that's what happens when they wear away too much in the breakaway law. You just end up with this wee slit. So, same hammer, same motor, same speed, same power, just new brushes. What does she look like now? Seen that more than once. That'll run okay with them like this here now, but it won't run properly with a new set of brushes. Now, question is, what do we do? She's under warranty. Normally, when you get a machine on like this, that's obviously been tampered with, but a soldering put onto here, technically, that voids the warranty. It shows the machine's been opened up and tampered with by somebody. Fair enough, you're fine changing brushes on a machine. They're designed to wear out and be replaced. You're fine changing them, but soldering things onto it, technically, isn't covered by a warranty. It can void it. If this was somebody just off the street and it wasn't bought out of this here shop and you got a machine like this, you just wouldn't cover it under warranty because you just don't know. It could be the customer done something else wrong. If he's done this, he could have wired something else wrong and caused the damage. Generally, if you don't know the person and it has been bought here, you wouldn't cover it under warranty for that. But this man did buy the machine here, so you have a wee bit more faith in them. You know your own customers. The shop here knows who's buying their stuff. They know their customers and they know what they generally do. They're not messing you about. So generally, if it's out of the shop here, you would overlook this here little thing here. But this particular boy, I know he's doing hard work and he's putting the machine through a bit of abuse basically. He is giving it harder work. He bought this machine here, and then he actually bought a second one as well. And whenever he got the last set of brushes into this, he also bought another machine. Now he's left this one for repair. It's in for an install fix. I've already said it's probably this year. Motor needs to be replaced. Now he's away with another machine. That's 4. You're not going to turn around and say, no, we're not covering it under warranty when they're spending money on the shop. So we'll all be fixing this. It was a random person off the street and you seen they're tampering with the machine, you just really wouldn't do it because you just don't know them. This boy, his father actually does repairs as well in his spare time, so he does working machines. So we didn't do this here for no reason. And it's only a wee small soldering job to get the thing running again. We're not going to bother too much about that. So we're going to change the armature on this here. At least we hope we are. Can I take that out? I don't remember which model this is now. Now hopefully we do have an armature for this. Will be an install fix if I have one in stock. Yeah, I do need to take that out, sure. Just gonna get the wiring out of the way just. I didn't run this for too long, so the brushes should be okay. See, that's what I mean. I need to take that out to take all this apart. But now he's soldered this in. See, that is the same as this one, which is a right angle spade connector. So I can just replace this brush holder if he hadn't done that, which would be still covered under a warranty. But I can't replace the speed controller because he's cut off the spade connector and soldered this on. I can't do that under warranty because this here's about €100. All because he's cut off the right angle spade connector. I can't put on a straight one because you don't have the room once the cover's on. It has to be a right angle. And the question is, can I work around that now, seeing as he's done that? I suppose I can. I can take off the whole brush holder anyway and just put it back on again. It'll still work, it's just not the way you intend to do it. If I take that brush out, you should be able to just prise this up. That'll still work, it's just another way around, taking it off. And that just pulls out. Alright, a bit more damage now. See, he has caused more damage. One wee innocent thing, like a little bit of solder, doesn't seem that bad, but normally it means somebody's been opening it and they might know what they're doing. Brushes is fine, but somebody's tampering with a machine. Probably means they do more than what they think. Put it together on and break other things. These are tight when they're fresh, so I'll get away with that. Leave that as is. But this is actually off of there. It's only the handle for holding it on. There's still another one on this side. And it just goes to show, you just don't know how much damage has been done when somebody's actually been tampering with the machine. Just going to check the grease up here. More so the wear in the gears. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The wear here. That could be also something to do with it burning out. Gears, same standard Bosch problem. They're wearing out very quick. Look at that. There's not much point in just replacing the armature. I'll also have to replace that crank. It's not worn out completely, so we'll get away with just cleaning up this grease, cleaning it out and putting in fresh stuff. Can't put on a full service kit onto this thing, or I can, but at least I can't put it under a warranty. Service kits are wear and tear parts. They're just part of the normal wear and tear of the machine. Just like brushes, they're not covered under a warranty. So I'll have to change that crank as well, so this is going to be a full strip here. And that's the fix to a complicated fix. Part strip down now, I'll partly strip down this to get on to change the gear just. It's not even that tight, I should get away with this. Gently tap it out. Yeah, you can see the wear in that armature. Look. Doesn't really matter, we're changing it anyway. But you can see the amount of work it's done. Haven't put these up on the wall yet. I must get them up, especially when you're trying to grab them one-handed. Don't use these when you're just doing a service. I'm only using them now because we're taking this armature out and replacing it. Air deflector's even damaged, look. Shoulder on that. It's not totally worn through, but it has done work. So that's gone. Get rid of that. That air deflector. One of the new bearing as well. Just change that because it's broken on here. Look. It's been rubbing on something. That's only like a €1 or €2 for that wee part. That's not a big deal. And before we go any further, I'm going to see if I have an armature in stock. Right, we're not looking too bad. We have an eccentric gear in stock. and one armature as well. This one looks to be an old stock one. Opened at the bottom. One that's actually been ran before. Look. This must have been tested on another machine, and then it didn't go ahead. And we lines are from the brushes. Still brand new, so we'll go with that. A ring in the box, but we don't need that. It also comes with the bearing and the sleeve. So we're not looking too bad. Get rid of that one. We'll clean that out. We need to get an air deflector as well. Also, just pull out this here hammer pipe now. We'll see if we can get that cleaned out a wee bit and get that gear changed, the eccentric gear. I wasn't planning on doing this now. And this was an easy fix, and this was not an easy fix. Seeing as I have the parts, I may as well just get it done. Get this washed out in the parts washer now before we do the parts washer. Because I'd rather not clean the dirty grease in a fresh parts washer. Now we have to take that out, get the crank out. So now that this is out, may as well just change the O-rings, seeing they're easy to get to now. Definitely, because they're a little bit slack. Huh? Shouldn't just drop out like that. It's not completely worn this side, but this side is low. All them teeth are getting sharp. There's a wee edge on them. Put a new armature onto that, it'll actually sound terrible, but it'll very quickly wear out the new armature, and then the tool will need to be replaced again anyway. So change this now along with the armature, keep it running right. Right, over to the parts washer, clean all this gunk off. Right, hopefully this is all we need now. Right, where are we at? The O-rings fitted here first. Nearly could have went with the whole service kit after all, because top seal actually dropped out too, or swole up and wouldn't fit. Normally when that happens and you change the brushes, it's nearly just as well to put on a service kit. These are only the bits we need. This will cut it down a little. It'll make it a bit cheaper, but not much. These two O-rings alone will make sure it's definitely hammering correctly, because it was getting a wee bit weak. You can tell from the actual hammer sliding out on its own. And slide them in. I don't need to assemble the whole thing. I'm only doing this here because it's what it's in for. It's not actually in for whole service, but I'm just doing it since it is in for a new motor. I'll just strip it down this far anyway, so we may as well just do it. Doesn't actually need a full service, but it's going to need one shortly. So this will just leave it running right for longer. There's one there. And that one there. Nope, another wee piece. Right, that's the hammer pipe. Like I said before, these here start to swell. They'll no longer fit right. Whenever you go to refit everything with fresh grease, it'll kink. It'll leak out. So if they kink at all or don't sit, just replace it. Because it'll save you a lot of hassle later on. It's a bigger deal washing the whole thing out and wasting all the grease than actually just fitting a new one of these. Bit of grease in that too, just to help hold it on. And we had to change this simply because it was worn. And that's the fix to a full strip job. Just tighten that up. I'll leave that bit for now. I'll get this sorted. I could have also used this O-ring, but the armature doesn't actually come with an O-ring, so I'm not sure if that's definitely out of this hammer or not. So better safe than sorry. Don't bother using it. It's a bit of a waste, seeing as they are about €7 or €8 to actually replace. It'll cost you more in the long run if you stick that on. And then the thing doesn't hammer. You have to strip the whole thing back down again. So if you're not sure, don't use it. So we just took that out. We'll wash this up again just so you can see the amount of wear that's on that. So these teeth here, are just starting to wear in. Once they start doing that, they've only got a limited life. You wouldn't want to use this here one and have that take out the new armature. Way around, there's a narrow and a wide end. Stick her on there. Just give a wee coat of grease all down in here before you get it together. The lighter stuff you actually want to fill this thing with, not the heavy gear stuff I was just using for the O-rings. Slide that on. Clean the grease off your fingers. Slide the rest on. Now these ones are actually nice and handy to work on. There's no big parts assembly to go into it. They're quite simple. They're nice and basic. Now before we go any further, we want this back on. It's a fairly fresh hammer, like I was saying, it's under warranty, so you shouldn't need to replace this oil seal down here. That should be good. And we can't put grease onto it until the motor's on. Otherwise it's all just going to pour back out again. Finish off the top. That's all we need, isn't it? Just get the screws ready. Get a Loctite on them. Butter a daub. Good blob of it will do. We'd fill this with about 50 ml of grease. Don't be so immature. This grease is actually healthy stuff I'm putting onto, it's not even Bosch. No particular reason, it's just that I have here. It's good stuff to use for these hammers. But you can also use the Bosch stuff, there's nothing wrong with it. Get your wee felt sleeve up on here. Can't really grease this leaking. And then we'll get on. That's awkward, but this is just made a little bit more awkward now because of this here brush ring. shouldn't be impossible. It's a tight fit. Make sure it's all the way in, otherwise this handle won't clip on. Now try refit this. I get this on too soon now. It's in the way. That's better. Just be sure you're putting it on nice and square, because they have to go down on, the wee connectors have to go down onto the field. That just saves me having to replace that speed controller just for one wee connector. And we're good to go with the same brushes as well. That and that. Oh, before we put that on, you put the screws back in. 4 of them. Aye. One insta fix with a whole new motor under warranty. Now, let's see what she runs like now. Should be no sparking now with these new brushes and the new armature. Nice one. Lot better. Take her to the block to test her out. Can you just take a wee second for the hammer to come on after a full service. There she is. One Instafix. It was just down on power. Needing a whole new armature, a new motor, and basically a full service to get that up and running again. Plus a few wee other bits. But the consumables like the service, the O-rings, the brushes, they're not actually part of the service kit or part of a warranty. I don't know if I'll actually be able to put them through the warranty. The armature and all wee bits and pieces I'll have to put through the warranty though. But we'll just have to see what we can get away with Bosch. I'd say it'll just be the warranty, the armature, and not the O-rings and brushes and grease, because that there, the rest of it, was just general wear and tear. With the amount of wear and work this thing's actually done, it's hardly surprising. But anyway, that's her up and running again. Right folks, I'm going to leave it at that there for today. Hope you're enjoying the video as always folks. If you're liking this here one, make sure to give it a wee like down the bottom. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to help the channel out, make sure to hit that hype button there as well. Also, the memberships are still there if you want to help out the channel. Join and actually become a member too. The funds for that there go towards new tool teardowns, which I might actually do shortly as well. There's a bit more money in the fund, so we might actually do a new teardown coming shortly. Let me know in the comments what you'd rather. I'm thinking maybe something like a 40 volt Makita, because I haven't had any 40 volt Makita tools on here yet. Wouldn't mind getting one of the drills or the nut guns or something like that and do a teardown one of them. But that'll be for another day. Till next time folks, I'll chat to you later.